Hey there, welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz. We're joined by the regular panel now. We have Eric Brown, sports writer for DogNet, and Matt Vacklin, sports editor for the Collegian. Guys, welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Big, exciting game Saturday, the Bracket Buster, the marquee game on ESPN. They end up routing Davidson pretty good, 75-63. Eric, what did you think of that game? It was a statement game for them.
Oh, it was just a really exciting game for Butler. I thought we came out and played with great intensity. You know, we're diving on loose balls, playing great defense. Stephen Curry went 6 for 23 from the field, started the game off 0 for 8 from the field. I thought Ron Nord just did an excellent job guarding him the whole game. So that was just a really great sign for us to play that well on national TV.
The defense by Nord was incredible. The show that Gordon Hayward put on kind of introduced himself to the country. I thought that was huge. But the one thing I think it also did is Butler finally got a non-conference game, got an elite opponent, and got to show what they could do. And it just goes to show you how losses in conference play, no matter which conference you play in, can kind of be overrated a little bit. And it just shows that this Butler team is still very much of a national power out there.
Well, no, they were avoiding a three-game losing streak there after a tough one against Loyola, and then they lost to Milwaukee on the road. And good thing that was early in the week, because then they maintained a top 25 place in the AP.
Yeah, the game against Milwaukee was a little bit disappointing. I thought we came out a little bit flat. We didn't really play great defense until the last 5 minutes of the game. It was very similar to the Loyola game, in my opinion, in that we just turned it on a little bit too late. We made a run at the end, but just couldn't get enough shots to fall, couldn't get enough stops. Obviously, James Ayers got that big offensive rebound in the last play, so that was just a little disappointing. But it was nice to see the way we rebounded to come and play against Davidson.
It was one of those games where we just couldn't quite hit the shot to get back in it. And I agree, it was very similar to the Loyola game. And I think it just went to show how big of a part the freshmen play on this team. I mean, Gordon Hayward only had 4 points in that game. He comes back in the Davidson game with 27. So, I mean, it's one of those things you deal with a young team, but they've got to have the freshmen if they're going to play well. But it is a good sign. I mean, they still, in both those losses, they didn't get blown out. They came back strong.
Now, after the Saturday game, some teams put us back in some ESPN and CBS, some sports networks had us in as a lock for the NCAA tournament. Now, I don't know if we can go as far as lock because they got 2 tough games against Horizon League opponents, Youngstown State and Cleveland State this weekend. Are you guys prepared to say, Matt, maybe they're a lock?
I wouldn't quite say a lock just because you never know what can happen in 2 games as we've seen in this recent stretch, but I would say pretty close. Their resume stacks up really well, 11 wins on the road. That's the most in Division I basketball. And when you look at some of the teams that are on the bubble this year, to me it's a really weak bubble. Teams seem to lose more than win. I mean, you look at the fact that Georgetown and Notre Dame are still in it, and they're hovering around 500. So I think Butler's in pretty good shape right now.
Yeah, one of the things when you're in athletics is you never want to have someone else decide your destiny. So you never want to let the selection committee rely on your postseason. So we want to just come out and make sure that there's no question about it, win the next 2 regular season games and win the conference tournament, and not even give them a chance to decide if we're on the bubble or not.
Now, while the men were beating Davidson on Saturday, the women followed that up with a tough loss on the road at Valpo, their only game this past weekend. Eric, obviously tough for them. They're still 11-3, but Cleveland State's moving closer to them now.
Yeah, well, one of the things with the women's team is obviously they rely on defense so much. They're 13-0 when they hold teams under 50, 14-2 when they hold teams under 60. And Valparaiso shot 52% from the field and scored 75 points. So it's just really tough to win on the road when you let a team get that comfortable. So hopefully they'll be able to rebound this weekend and have a solid weekend at home.
Yeah, I think with what you saw, the defense is always a huge part of their team, and also their big 4 of Tara Burns, Brittany Bowen, Ladea Kane, and Susan Lester. It seems like they have to have all 4 of them playing well to win. 3 of them did. Susan Lester, 7 points. I mean, she'd been on fire lately. But the one thing I think it does is they already needed some help anyway to be in contention for the title race with Green Bay. But I think with Cleveland State being right behind them now, it makes this week bigger because they need to hold a top 2 seed heading into the Horizon League tournament.
This week is big for them. 2 of the 3 losses that they've had in the league play came on these 2 teams they're up against, Milwaukee and Green Bay. A big weekend. Milwaukee's going to be a close one. It's going to be tough to beat the undefeated team in Green Bay.
Definitely. The Milwaukee game, when you look at the standings, granted they beat them up in Milwaukee, that's a game they have to have. Just you have to beat lower-tiered teams in your league at home. And in the Green Bay game, it's a good measuring stick. Mathematically, they're not eliminated from the Horizon League title race yet, but really, when you're looking at it, you just want to be able to show that you can compete with them. I mean, a win at Hinkle against Green Bay to snap the losing streak against them would be huge. So it'll be a big week for them.
Yeah, I agree. Two single point losses to both Milwaukee and Green Bay on the road. So hopefully we'll be able to come back and play some solid defense, like I mentioned earlier, to get back and get wins over these teams and stay ahead of Cleveland State in the standings.
Now, we've been talking a lot of basketball with you guys, and rightly so. It's a big thing right now. But one of the interesting stories comes from track and field, indoor track. Andy Baker, one of the seniors, we spoke to him earlier this year on the Blitz, and what a great guy he is. He actually broke the indoor 5,000-meter track record at Butler this past weekend. Matt, I know you got a chance to speak to him and just talk a little bit about him. The indoor track championships coming up this weekend.
Yeah, he ran a great race for someone who he had told me when I spoke with him that he had been hurt the last couple weeks and hadn't been running as well. I mean, the indoor record had been one of his goals, but he didn't expect that it was going to come from that meet, and he got it, which says what kind of runner he's been in this program. He's done some amazing things, but he was also one of a number of just personal best times that was run out in that meet in Seattle, and he was telling me that he thinks they have a shot at an indoor title this weekend, or at least an outside shot. And when you look at how our track program sets up in terms of not having scholarships for sprint and field events, that would be saying something for the program.
Yeah, he's just an outstanding athlete. Obviously, breaking the school record's an extremely valuable accomplishment, and he's a great student athlete as well. Just a hard worker, and it's just really great to see somebody like that from Butler get a lot of local coverage and do well on the national scale. So hopefully they'll be able to keep it up this weekend and perform well in the championship.
Well, let's get some predictions from you guys. Obviously, a packed weekend at Hinkle, 2 doubleheaders. I don't know. We've been a bit of a jinx here for the men's team, losing these games. Eric and I talked about that. Hopefully we'll turn it around. We'll knock on wood here. First for the men and then for the women. Eric, what do you think this weekend?
Well, I think for both teams, actually, it's obviously going to come down to defense. Well, for the men, Youngstown State's one of the best scoring teams in the league. They've only lost one game, I believe, where they scored under 70 over 70 points. So it's going to be come down to defense for both teams, and I think if both teams are able to play solid defense, there's a good chance they'll be able to come out on top.
I certainly agree with the defensive point. I think for the men's team, I think they really found their swagger this past weekend. I think they will be able to defend well, and I think they will take care of their home court. The women's team against Milwaukee, that's a revenge game. Against Green Bay, they have a chance if some of the fans from that men's game stay close, so they could have a big crowd. And if that's the case, then I look for them to perform well against Green Bay.
All right, we'll wait to see. Everybody get out to Hinkle this weekend to see those 4 games. All right, well, thanks, guys, for joining me, and we'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz right after the break. Stay with us. The Butler women's swimming team is up in Wisconsin today as they finish preparations for the Horizon League Championship that starts tonight at 8 p.m. Senior Sarah Lynn Gates leads the Bulldogs as they take part in their first competition in nearly a month. The 4-day swimming and diving championship will wrap up in Brown Deer, Wisconsin on Saturday. The Butler softball team is back on campus this week after a tough road trip in Texas. The women's team opened up their spring season at the North Texas Sleep-In Classic Tournament over the weekend and were held winless. After a tough fall, the Bulldogs are hoping to improve on their 17-29 record from last season. If you're a Butler basketball fan, it doesn't get much better than this weekend. Thursday, both the men's and women's teams are in action. At 5 o'clock, the women's team tries to get even with Milwaukee. Right after the game, the men's team takes on a much-improved Youngstown State. That game is scheduled to tip off at 7 p.m. On Saturday, both teams have home games again, only this time they flip order. The men get things started with a noon game against conference rival Cleveland State. That game will be broadcast on ESPN2. Then the women follow that up by taking on league leader Green Bay at 4 o'clock in their final home regular season game this year. That will just about do it for this week's episode of The Blitz. Make sure to check us out next week online at youtube.com/Bulldog Blitz Sports. Or for those Central Indiana viewers, you can always see The Blitz through Comcast On Demand. Until next week, I'm Mark Minner. We'll see you right back here on the Bulldog Blitz.